Regular meeting of the Lake Orion Planning Commission, Monday, March 6, 2023 at 7:30. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Zenyuk is excused. Laurent,
Here.
Lamb,
Yes.
Dunn,
Here.
Sable,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Narsch,
Here.
McCleary.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Okay. We're looking for approval for the minutes, the planning draft regular meeting of January 9th, 2023.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments on non-agenda items only. And we're hoping that you'll take no more than 3 minutes if there's anybody who wants to speak. Now's the time. Come on up. Looks like we have no one today. We have no old business, and we have new business, which is 494 South Broadway Cloud Retail Site Review, Site Plan Review. Do we have anybody from Cloud here? How are you?
Hi, doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
My name is James McNeilis. I'm here with Stuckey and Vitale Architects. We're representing the retail development here. We've also got the civil engineer.
I'm Rodney Beslek. I'm with Fenton Land Surveying and Engineering, here doing the civil.
And we also have the owner present as well.
Hi, Diaz Zaraga, part owner of the property.
Could I ask a quick question? This is the first time that I've been part of any of your presentations. Is this medical marijuana or recreational? It's both. It's both. Okay.
James?
Great. Let's see. So we are here presenting tonight the Lake Orion retail development at 494 South Broadway Street in Lake Orion, Michigan. The proposed one-story building is 3,553 square feet. We received a number of comments from the village, and we have, through previous submittals, done our best to answer any comments or concerns from the village. We're here tonight to address any comments, answer any questions. We have some exhibits. We have updated details that was requested by the village, including elevations. We have our site plan, landscape plan, and some materials to present to the Planning Commission as well. So we're happy to answer any questions about the project.
One of the things that right off the bat, one of the things that was noted in your plans was that in one place it said it was 4,435 square feet, and then you're just saying it's 3,553.
Correct.
Which is correct?
The 3,553 is correct.
Okay.
The previous square footage,
Was the 4,000 that he just mentioned? Yes, it was.
correct. Now, the reason that it changed, there was a small parcel on the corner of the lot that we found was not part of the property. And so in order to meet all the setbacks required by the village, we modified the footprint of the building, and that's how we arrived at the 3,553.
Are the calculations correct On the
cover-
rest of the plans?
On the C1 cover sheet of
Yeah.
the civil plans, that's the correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we had 4,000 before they changed it and moved the door so it faces the front of the street. So they did some modifications to the buildings and actually made it smaller from the, say, second submittal. This will be the third submittal that we've got. So they asked us to move the door and have it facing Broadway, right? So in that kind of instance, they kind of shaved some of the building down too. So these are new from the last review technically, so we made the building a little smaller too. So it is 3553 right now.
Can we get the update from McKenna?
Chair would, oh, sorry, thank you. Chair, would you like me to go through my entire review and
Yeah.
report with you?
Yeah.
Sure,
That way, maybe we can have a little back and forth, but you go through yours.
no problem. For anyone that I haven't met yet, my name is Gage Belko. I'm a planner with McKenna and the village zoning coordinator. I'm just going to run through my site plan review for you, kind of line by line, noticing any discrepancies in the plan. So I'm on page 2 where the site plan review starts. Just orienting you a little bit, this is a mixed-use district. This is a permitted principal use as a retail operation. We did note some discrepancies which the commission has already brought up, including the square footage discrepancy. Another one that we noted was the proposed and existing building heights. We just want to make sure that that's clarified.
It's just proposed. It's just proposed.
Nothing staying on the site. And then our last point regarding lot coverage is moot because the square footage was clarified, so thank you. These don't materially change the plan at all. Moving on to page number 3, natural features and landscaping. Generally, we find that the landscaping is suitable. They made revisions on this second site plan, which is satisfactory. I'm flipping to page 4, which is a continuation of the landscape review. We're going to need a detail of that proposed knee wall, so materials, textures, colors, making sure that it matches the building.
Same thing as dumpster too?
Same thing as the dumpster. Speaking of the dumpster, we're going to want to see that raised, the wall. 6 feet is just a little too low for a dumpster, so you can go all the way up to 8 feet, but we just recommend at least 7.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, and it's got to have some sort of decorative capping on it.
Limestone cap or something.
Yep, exactly.
There's closures on it, right? On the dumpster front of it closes off?
Yes,
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 that's right.
yes. There's gates with rollers on them too.
Okay.
Yep. Coming back to that landscaping, screening to the north and west residential areas. We just want you to kind of be aware that this fence line, we need a little bit more visual interest, and there's a lot of shade produced by some of the trees over there,
Okay.
and we're concerned that some of the bushes underneath might not survive. So they might need to be played around with, moved around, so that they get adequate sunlight.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're calling it a fence line, it really isn't though, it's a buffer, right?
I'm sorry?
It's a buffer, it's not really a fence line, right?
Yes, so there is the 6 foot wide green belt. Yep.
Okay, so we're calling it a fence, but technically it's a green buffer, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
green buffer, sorry about that. I think
I think a fence, I'm thinking of fence. Honestly,
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think.
so the neighboring Mystic Cove residential project will have a fence.
A fence on their side.
On that side.
Yep.
So just to kind of break up that visual with those low-lying bushes.
Yeah.
You could include taller bushes, more shade-resistant
So
bushes.
so you're not opted going with taller bushes, skinnier taller bushes go around that time?
Not necessarily. We do see that you have those 5-foot juniper shrubs. Those are the ones that are kind of underneath the canopy.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure that those can kind of survive long term. Another point regarding the rain gardens under environmentally sensitive design. Both the planning report and the engineer's report notes that there is quite a bit of steepness in terms of the grade in that rain garden area that could preclude, the plant material surviving.
Yeah.
So we're going to want to make sure that that is decreased so
We
that.
talked, we were on the phone with the landscaper at 10 o'clock this morning, kind of going over that stuff.
Okay.
That was one of the comments we did go over, let's make it less steep.
Sure. And then they are they're on the smaller side. And we could explore reducing some of the parking in the parking lot to make those rain gardens a bit bigger and kind of soften the site a little bit more. And of course, make it more resilient to storm water. Moving on, I'm on page 5 now. We're going into access and circulation. We're going to need final MDOT and Road Commission approval before we recommend approval. I understand that they may have been submitted for review, but we don't have that approval letter. So we're going to need to see that. Engineer's going to want to see that as well. Flipping the page, page 6, parking and loading. This is where, this is where things can get a little more discretionary with the Planning Commission. The retail building requires 15 parking spots. The applicant is proposing 36, and that exceeds this requirement by 21 parking spaces, which is more than double the requirement. We have a maximum parking limit in the village, and that's 20% in excess, unless otherwise approved by the commission. So, applying the deviation, that 20%, this allows for a maximum of 18 parking spots. So it is recommended that at least 10 spots are removed, which will allow for greater landscaping, but the commission could approve going above and beyond.
I kind of see that as, when I look at the competing property and how big their lot is and how many cars are full, 18 sounds very small to me.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I drove in there today because I was just curious.
Yeah.
I didn't go in the store, I just drove into the park.
Sure did.
But the reason I did was because I was just curious how many people, and I went midday, and I think I counted 30 cars
Just
in
sitting
the
there.
parking lot.
Yeah.
Of course, the majority of them are hiding in the back, but
And you gotta remember, we have 10 to 12 employees. It's
Yeah.
not like everybody can kind of double up and drive, so at the top, we got 10 or 12 parking spaces technically gone. So,
Yeah, I think we should go with more parking.
Are you guys looking at a primary delivery business?
are you looking at a primary delivery business?
What, I'm sorry.
Are you looking at leaning on delivery, secure delivery?
That's not 100% yet, but possibly yes. I mean,
Okay.
that's what seems like the industry's going right now, so-
It seems like a lot of dispensaries will have less and less and less parking because once they become an established customer, who's not going to have free delivery?
Yeah, it's,
You know,
yeah, that is true, but also, there's a lot of, it's a retail store, so there is a lot of in and out customers that come in.
Yeah.
Like Larry said, they're like across the street, I don't even know how many, but they probably have I think they're over 40 or 50 parking.
Right.
So here, the employees alone, just like my restaurant business, we have at least a lot more, but 10 cars is minimum, I would think, so we really need the more the better, but if we can get, what is it, 28, or how many we're looking at?
36 right now.
36, I mean, that
The
would be,
max point is like 20 or 21, right? Kind of over, yeah.
While I've got Mr. Zraga, if I could ask you, on the unloading, I noticed it's on the west end there. I'm looking on the building plans. Just from my research on these places as well, I've been going back looking at these since 2016 when they passed the medical. If anything's going to happen, it's going to be loading and unloading the product.
Technically, yes.
And I didn't know, is there a fencing area or lighting? What type of extra security have you got? That's a crucial point where you got the tubs coming in, tubs going out.
right, see, I'm not really honestly familiar with that. That's like, come down to, like, how much loading, unloading there is. I really don't know. I don't know the answer to that, to be
There's
honest.
security guards that actually work, one at the front and one at the back when deliveries are made. So he actually comes out with the guy and makes sure everything's secure as they bring it in and as they go
Okay.
back out too.
And I know there's state mandates. On, yeah, the recording, yeah. I know there's state mandates on the lighting and the camera system, but I'm sure it's exceptionally well there. There's nothing worse than, the rover on Mars. You can see a grain of sand, and then the bank robbery, all you can tell is that, it was maybe blue clothing. But if anything's gonna happen, these places are so secure. They just are. Crime doesn't happen but for right there.
And relatively, they're there like 20 minutes, in all
Yeah.
honesty. They come in and, kind of swap out things and actually leave, too.
And
So-
security guard.
Right, plus there's one up front
One-
and there's one in the back. Yes.
That's perfect, yeah. Actually having a security staff.
So
Yeah.
traditionally, there's two, for the transport company, there's two, most of the time armed, I'll just say employees that are obviously delivering, and then whatever security you guys would be offering in addition.
I mean, and I don't think it has to be with this, but I mean, some of these are now doing indoor drive-in, doors drop, do that, or like a Sally Port with high fencing, but with security guards, that's good.
And also the delivery there are also licensed to do that, so they have.
Right, with the deliveries as well, yeah. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask a question.
Yep.
How much time do you anticipate on average customers will be spending at the facility?
It's honestly hard to say. I've actually went out to a couple of these places after the fact, and there's some people that sit there for a half hour. Again, new people come in there, they're just kind of in awe as far as all the stuff they got. So there's actually been people that go in there for an hour, kind of the first time. After that, they usually come in 15, 20 minutes tops, usually is how it goes.
And the reason I ask that is because I'm not a fan of a lot of parking. Using the numbers that you put in your letter, in your response to the review,
Okay. Yeah.
20 to 25 customers, I think you said, per hour. Even being generous and assuming that everyone's going to take a half hour in the facility.
Yeah.
According to my calculations, you're looking at probably a need of about 20 to 25 parking spaces, including your employees. And you're asking for 36?
6, yeah. 10
Parking
employees,
spaces?
and you're right there. I mean, that's 25 plus 10 employees. There's 35.
I'm including.
Oh, you are
12
okay.
I'm including 12 employees.
Okay.
And if you're talking about 20 to 25 customers per hour, spending a half hour in there, you're looking at about, probably about 14 to 15 parking spaces.
Okay, yeah.
Plus the 12 for employees,
Okay.
so, you're looking at 20, maybe 25 parking spaces. And you're asking for 36, so I just wanted to point that out.
Okay.
That, the more we can keep paved parking down, the happier I am, so.
If I may address that comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
We haven't,
Or, I mean-
so are we going to do like a round robin comment, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
Well, I think we need to go finish. We've got a bunch of stuff on our list right now.
We're
I think
talking
we
about
need to go
parking.
through
Should I
The
comment
rest
now?
of it, we'll come back to.
Should I comment on the parking now?
Yes, go ahead.
So more parking is better,
That's to us, yes.
okay? I have issues with, storing snow.
Okay.
The village itself, has events, huge events, and people love to go park in the commercial lots since there's no enforcement. So the fireworks and stuff, you're very close to the lake. I assume that you'll get some strays. So the village is small, land is not available, parking is good. That's my opinion on parking.
We were actually thinking about that earlier when you said snow. We can actually pile the snow in those 8 parking spaces and kind of, if it gets bad enough, we talked about that earlier. As far as taking the snow and piling it over there, those 8 parking spots are kind of on the northeast corner of the property.
Yeah, and the extensive landscaping requirements, if you go through the community, you'll see that very few of our commercial sites have any degree of sustainable landscaping, and those that do are not required to maintain it. I mean, I can't personally, I've attempted to get some overgrown shrubbery blocking vision cut down, and it's been a year now, and even as a council person, I have no strength to make that happen. So in your landscaping, my feelings on the landscaping and being close to the lake, I think more focus should be put on, infiltration, the rain garden approach, less ornamental shrubs that are going to die after the, subsurface irrigation freezes in the winter and is destroyed in the first season, to more sustainable infiltration type stuff to help the direct surface runoff. Less plants, more infiltration. Then the last thing about the parking lots, we have a huge intersection conflict right now in this area because of the apartment complexes, and then this monstrous project that DDA wants to have at the same intersection. I think it would be very beneficial to have cross-access to the apartment complex. Unfortunately, these plans don't show the proposed adjoining property development, so I can't see what the building, I would really like to see that added to your plans. It doesn't have to be I believe it should be shown the adjoining property, so we could see if it's suitable to have an access easement. Maybe these people want to, drive in, get some weed, drive out, go to work or something, I don't know, but, it would give an alternate relief route just for the people in the apartments, which is only a few little traffic, and it would provide them. The current marijuana store across the street, I asked for cross-access easement at that time, and I was deemed that it wasn't necessary. I watch every day vehicles pull out of the marijuana store, immediately turn right into McDonald's or into the gas station. Okay? No, just because they do. And the traffic on M24 does not anticipate people will be moving from parking lot to parking lot. They anticipate people are go out and go.
Right.
And so I personally have almost had a couple, collisions there, So I saw it in the planner's report that the cross-access is typically required. So these are my thoughts on your parking lot and the comments that the planner has made so far.
Any other comments on the parking piece of it?
Do you guys plan to do any curbside delivery? No.
That's not allowed.
Thank you.
Then we'll continue.
Before we get too far off the access and circulation point, this was a point of concern, just given the site's layout, that this cross-access wasn't exactly practical with the site. Just given how it's laid out with the proposed landscaping, all of that. And we still need, final MDOT approval and review just to ensure that this alone, without that cross-access, is suitable. And the commission may waive that cross-access agreement, and I just want to pin down, if this does move forward, whether the commission would like to see that cross-access. However, we recommend that it shouldn't be proposed linking marijuana retail and residential necessarily.
They could walk over there and get pot. Why can't they drive? It's something, I don't think there's enough information on the plans right now what the adjoining properties are.
I can't see it in my head on the other plan.
Yeah, I can't. There's not enough information on the plan for us to determine.
I mean, you could look at it. I don't know whether it's viable or not.
We're simply recommending that it be waived, that cross-access requirement. But that is of course up to you. If you'd like them to reconfigure the site, that would be a substantial
Well, if we could just see what would happen if we did it.
I'd like to see it too. I've yet to get a copy of what they're doing next door. In all honesty, I've asked them 3 times.
Okay.
Can I see something? They gave me some grades.
Yeah, because I don't know what they got on the
It's
other
basically
side of the fence.
The edge of the driveway, the traveled way, was the closest thing to us when they gave me something last with a couple grades on it, so I could match what their grades are. In all honesty, that's all I've ever gotten from them.
Okay.
At first, we seen some buildings on the lake and kind of, again, the drive going through and parking that way, but I've yet to kind of see anything else that they've done.
Two different properties, so how do we tie these two together?
They just want to see the spillover of
But
what
they have
those
their
guys are.
site plan, so that nobody saw their plans before?
No,
through the planning
we saw the plans, we just can't remember.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
And we don't have something.
We don't have something in front of us to jog our memories on what that looks like.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, honestly, I don't know.
I don't know,
Again, I don't either. And I've asked them-
I don't know if
honestly,
it's
I've asked them
doable or
3
not,
times.
All
but,
I
you
hear
know,
is gonna
it's,
be beautiful, that's all.
we can take a look at it and see if it is.
Sure.
Not saying we will do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, just based on the available data and information, we just recommend waiving that, but we can definitely
Be
look at it
good.
more closely.
Good, thank you.
And it looks like, let me throw a final question out there. Probably TIA did the traffic study, I'm guessing?
Yes. I believe
Okay. And if TIA did the traffic study, they are recommending the single access point. And usually there's reasons for that. Sometimes it's security, sometimes it's, but I haven't seen that. But if TIA did that, there'd be a source document for you as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
the engineer did review that traffic study, so we'll need to look at her report a little more closely. All right, but just to move on with this
Yep.
review, moving on to the building design and architecture. Just another discrepancy that we'd like to point out. The changes in the elevations and the floor plans aren't reflected in that in that rendering. The window placement is different. It looks like there's lighting in the front when there isn't lighting proposed on the photometric plan. So we just want to make sure that there's some attention given to those changes and that it's reflected in the rendering.
That's right. The rendering is a conceptual rendering meant to give an idea of the flavor of the design, but we are happy to update it based on the village comment.
Yeah, that'd be great. And again, just providing a little bit more architectural variation to the entrance, just to kind of signify, show it. This is a kind of a gateway building into the community, so we want to make sure that its entrance is visible and well suited to the village. So if we could see some more attention drawn to that entrance, that'd be great. In addition, the Planning Commission reserves the right to approve the facade materials. We did recommend that samples be provided for the materials to the Commission for their review. So an opportunity, in addition to that, an opportunity to increase glazing on the facade. They don't necessarily have to be true windows. They could be just glazing with brick in the back, but just to give that appearance of more transparency and more glazing would look really nice and just add a little bit more detail to that building.
We appreciate the village's comments on this, and we did actually make an effort today to improve the facade design and also make it, give it some more curb appeal, celebrate the entrance a little bit more. So if it's appropriate now, we could show these improvements and also pass out some samples.
You want to see those now?
I leave it up to you, Chair.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Great. Not sure what the best way to do this is. Roddy, if you wouldn't mind, yeah. So if you can see from here, and we'll come up closer with the picture, we did increase the height of the entry corner by 2 feet, and we did take the eyebrow, the canopy feature, and wrap it around the corner to give a little bit more architectural interest. We added tiebacks, and we also eliminated, I think, what was one point of concern was the architectural block. So we're proposing a completely masonry, a brick masonry building. As part of that, it would be 2 different sizes of brick masonry. You would get like a king-size brick, and you'd get a more modular-sized brick. That way, you would get different, I guess, areas of interest in the building. We're also proposing a high-quality a limestone band to go around the perimeter of the building. This would tie back into your knee wall design and also your dumpster enclosure design. So everything on the site would match. It would be a very high-quality sort of development, very long-lasting. I think it would be really a good improvement to that corner. And we do have some samples to pass around as well.
Okay. Anybody need a closer look at that?
Yes, we'll come around.
Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we are providing the wall detail, it's also streamline detail. The idea would be to eliminate the architectural block in the lower bank of the building and provide 100% radius. We've also increased the height of this corner here. We've added decorative wall sconces.
That's your entrance, right?
That's my entrance
And that's the,
right there, so that's facing Broadway.
okay.
We've also increased the glazing, and it would be a false glazing.
Great.
Because of where the lands, but it does give a nicer face. And then beyond the wall packs, this is a comment where proposing decorative wall sconce, there will be some other anomaly. We wouldn't create a glare for any neighboring properties, but we would add this feature, especially at night. Nice presence.
Could I see that a little bit more closely?
Yes.
Yes.
Could I see that? Oh, that was me. Oh, you're good. Awesome, thank you. Right. I like it.
Sure. Yep. Yep. Is that a cast limestone?
Yes.
I have some of both. I have some of both.
This is what now?
Not all that. Brick with the
On the entire facade?
house in Troy, it's all brick, both stories, all the way up. It's nice, 2x6 wall, little plywood. Has a bullet, but the bricks will slope down. The shotgun flat, they will. I don't care what anybody says. It can't go except it just goes. Yeah, but a 9mm, I don't think.
Really, we want to use high quality, long-lasting materials.
I'll just fuse a couple of cockroaches into the cement mortar. You preserve the whole character.
That's nice materials. Those are high quality materials. I know them personally. They're good stuff.
All right.
You want to continue?
I sure will. Thank you for providing those materials. That's responsive to our review, so that's good to see. Yeah, if I move on, we have engineering and stormwater management on page 7. So that has to be up to the satisfaction of the village engineer, which they have provided their review as well. And for lighting, we recommended more decorative and more varied lighting out front, so that's good to see. Overall, this revised site plan does bring the overall development closer to what we imagine and what we kind of like to see with compliance to the zoning ordinance and standards. There were several outstanding items in this review. Several of them have been addressed at this meeting. As far as the parking goes and additional landscaping and edits,
Right.
I could see that being approved administratively. If the planning commission sees fit, I would be comfortable recommending approval at this time, but we would need to see those revised plans submitted to the village with all points of the engineering report addressed as
And
well.
we can get you MDOT hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. Get
Okay.
Back with me. Same thing with the road commission too, as far as that one-way in.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
I'm
if
sorry,
you're not
yeah.
on the microphone?
So, in next 2 weeks, I should have MDOT's final approval. And then the road commission is probably another week behind that, for the one-way in and kind of one-way out, over on, over on Heights Road. And as far as, anything else, again, we're glad to kind of update all the stuff that we talked about and tonight. Again, change the, rain gardens to soften them up. Again, anything, we kind of went with the landscaper earlier today, so, we're willing to fix all that stuff too, so.
So as far as the planning side of things go, we still need to see that MDOT review. We need to see upgraded landscaping. I know the engineer needs to see better grading to ensure that those rain gardens can survive. And I understand that the engineer would like to see revised plans as well. So please take that into consideration when you're making your decision.
Okay.
Now, was there an actual letter from Storm Sewer Park? I looked at Noah and Frost's, but I didn't really mention anything about it.
From the
The other review letter that was in here after yours, is that Noah and Frost?
Yes.
Okay, so they didn't really mention anything about storm sewer in that letter either.
I'm sorry, what was that?
They didn't mention anything about storm sewer in that letter either. Not much, anyway.
No, not storm sewer, but the grading details.
Okay, yeah, the driveway's a little steep on the one side. We gotta change that, yes.
And those rain gardens as well.
Okay.
Can I just say something about the parking, gentlemen? So, the parking for retail business is really key. So we have 36, I think, altogether. It's again, retail business, it's a large investment. There is a space for it, and I know the point that you're making with parking, but it really will be very helpful if we can get the 36. I mean, we've been in downtown for a long time. We struggle with parking. This is a freestanding building. We have the room to do the 36 parking. That's what we're asking. If we can get that, that would really help, especially with it's a retail business, and you never know how many cars in and out. And if you can somehow, help us with that, because honestly, it's really needed.
I think you have a lot of commissioners that are thinking the exact same way.
Perfect, thank you.
Kind of rare in the village that we have somebody that's too much parking.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've yet to see it too. Even your own parking lot over here is a little full.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lamb?
so, there are 3 or 4 pages of comments that are still open.
Yes.
And, so, this time I think we should give them a good solid push towards being approved. I would like to make the motion that they resubmit the plans in conformance with the recommendations of the planner and the engineer, and that in addition, they include sufficient information, or that the planner provide us with sufficient information on the off-site properties in order that we can determine the orientation of the parking lot and the cross-access easement requirement. And I understand there were some issues with the grading.
The driveway's a little steep, the one,
That
yeah.
should really be considered.
Yes, we're gonna fix
And,
it.
And then, that would be my motion, and then they could to resubmit it to the next meeting. And, they said they sounded like they would have all the stuff ready.
Yeah. Should be.
By the next meeting.
Yeah, in a month, we should have everything. Yes.
Yes.
If I may, we appreciate the council's, or the commission's time today. I know that time is a critical factor for our client, and I hope we've demonstrated today a willingness to comply with all the village comments. We are doing our best to be responsive and to make this project a success. So if there's any way the commission could provide a conditional approval, we are willing to make some of these minor changes to get us to the finish line, but it would go a long way that we could speed up our timeline if the commission would be open to considering that.
We have, that's some pretty big variances they're asking.
Yeah, I think that...
That's the only reason is the parking, and they could formally request the waiver of the part of the...
Well, and to your point, I know you want to move the project faster. If you take these plans back and correct them quickly, we might be able to do something on an off week. I'm not guaranteeing that, but we would look at it.
Oh, on an off week. No,
Okay.
we would appreciate that. Yeah.
So do we have a second for Mr. Lamb's proposal?
I'll support.
We have a second and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Last but not least, we have commissioner comments regarding planning and zoning matters. Mr. Lamb, would you like to start us off?
I am really happy to see that all the planning commission members are here and interested in planning the community. Are there many sites left for us to do?
I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that's still going to come up.
Yeah, I would really, I wish that there was some more single-family residential available in the village, and I have not been able to find any source of new land
Okay.
for single-family housing in the village.
All right, thank you.
Anybody knows of any new single-family land in the village? Let's get it out here and get to it.
Okay. Mr. Narch?
The only thing I see to get that is redevelopment. Or if you're in Korea, you build down 7, 8, 10 stories. So maybe that's our, the windows aren't going to be very successful, but no, just glad to be here and glad to see the designs and the improvements of some areas that have long needed it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dunn?
I have nothing to add.
Anything? Mr. Smith?
Nothing additional at this time.
Mr. Sobel?
Nothing to add.
And then we got, I just drew a blank. Darwin?
How long have you known me?
2 weeks now.
2 weeks. Mr. Chairman, just real quick, to let the Planning Commission know, West Village Lofts has received their tax exemption certificate for that development, so hopefully we will see that project moving forward. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of that project, but it's on Elizabeth Street, the old high school, being redeveloped for 89 apartment units. So
That's good. That's good news. Okay.
that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, with that, we're looking for a call to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.